Hi Pam, so let's take a look at your video. So this first part is your running walk. So he has a pretty good head shake there. He's stepping up pretty well. His head carriage is fine because here as he's going, he's just a little bit on the trotty side. He's not trotting, but he's getting pretty close to a foxtrot. So don't go for any more speed at this point in time. And if you feel a little jiggle in the saddle at all, that means you're going more towards a foxtrot, and slow it down just a little bit. So just giving a couple half halts will help. So he's shaking his head. He's moving pretty well. This is it in slow motion. So left hind, left front, right hind, right front. But you will start to see just a little V. And when you see that V lasting for longer, that usually means the horse is going more towards a foxtrot. The other thing, I know you're going around these cones and stuff, but just keep trying to, as you're bending him, support him on both sides of his mouth. There, he's pretty good. Now, to me, it looks like it starts going downhill a little bit. We'll see as you go. So there, he's gaiting well. So that's your running walk. That looks good. Body position, all of that looks just great. Okay. Now here it's in slow motion again, so left hind, left front, right hind, right front. His head is shaking. You don't want to bring his head down anymore, because if you do, I'm going to stop this for a second. If you bring his head down more, he's going to round his back more and go more towards a fox trot. So where his head position is right now is just great. You want to keep it there as he gets more speed, and then once he gets more speed and he can hold it well, then if you want to frame him up a little bit more, you can. But I'd be careful not to bring his head down too far and not to round his back too much. But otherwise it looks pretty good there. Good head shake, he's stepping up, he's using himself pretty well. Now as you come over here, it looks like you're trying to go for a rack. I can't tell if this is going downhill or not, but going downhill will make the horse pacier, so you got to be careful. If that's going downhill at all, you got to keep it slower. You'll see his head start to sway back and forth a little bit, and he starts swinging his legs more instead of placing them. So he's not hard pacing, but he is doing a step pace. So you'll see you're bouncing in the saddle. He's pulling on the bit, and it doesn't get any better. So there it is a little bit from far away. So if I pause it, you'll see his hind leg hits the ground, then the front leg. So that's not a pace, but it is going towards a step pace. And your body position and all of that, you're trying to ride it pretty well. But what I would try to do is, before you start to go for this gait, I would try to bring his head down lower. I would try to bring his head down lower and round his back more, because here he's going more towards a pace, and would rather have him go a little bit more towards a trot to keep you out of the step pace. So I would get his head down lower, level more with the top of your saddle, so like his mouth will kind of be down here. Get him rounded out, then slowly speed him up, and then add more speed. And as you do it, again, since he's getting pacey, you could try to help him by tilting actually a little bit more forward. Get your shoulder a little bit more in front of your hip and tilt your hip. Think of what a 2-point is like. So you want a little bit more of a forward seat to see if that would help him as well. Because here his head's pretty high, so that's just making him more pacey instead of helping his gait. And there you slowed it back down. That's a flat walk, so that looks good there. But what I would be doing is, if I was going to try to get him to go into that racking gait or saddle gait, it's the same thing. I would bring his head lower before you start to go for the speed. So his head actually went higher. You started off okay, and then it went higher before he sped up. And if he was holding his gait, that would be okay. But some of the things have changed, so we need to get his head down now to help him find his gait again. Because you can see you're bouncing. The other problem is you keep going, so he doesn't know that's wrong. So anytime he does this step pace and you start bouncing, as soon as that happens, stop him, back him up. I'm going to stop this for a second. Stop him, back him up like 5 to 10 steps, walk off, get his head down, and then slowly speed him back up. Go through your flat walk, your running walk, and then your rack. Don't just go for the rack. And make sure his head is staying down the whole time. because what he's doing is bringing his head up, inverting his back, and that's why it's getting so bouncy. So here, we'll let it go again. And you'll see even his head is going side to side. So that's a sign you're not doing it right, because they'll start to do that more when they're going towards a pace. To me, it looks like it's going downhill, so that's not helping you either. If it is going downhill or this arena is slanted at all, what I would try to do is only ask for that speed as you're going uphill, because that will help him get more self-collected. So things I would try, I'll send you the video on getting their head down. So get him to give to the bit better again. It looks like he's leaning on the bit more and he's getting more inverted. So we want to get his head down lower when you're going for his racking gait. When you're doing your running walk, his head position was fine. But again, as you're going for this gait, you want to get his head down, slowly go through your gaits. If you started at a walk, get his head down, go for your flat walk, your running walk, and then up into your saddle gait, keeping his head down. Then what you could try to do is have him in a circle. This serpentine pattern you're doing, it doesn't look like it's helping him very much. So I would just try it in a circle. That will bend him and that will give you time that you can kind of push him in and out of your circle, which is like a leg yield. And by making that circle smaller and bigger, that will help also to separate his legs. As soon as he does it correctly, so as soon as he's going and it's smooth, his head's not shaking, because that's a sign that you're doing your saddle gait. So when his head's not shaking, it's very smooth. Immediately stop, because he's confused right now. So immediately stop, rest him, scratch him, give him a little treat, let him sit there for a couple minutes, then walk off, get his head down again, go back through your flat walk, go maybe a quarter way around, then go into your running walk maybe a quarter way around, and then go for your saddle gait, making sure his head stays down. If it doesn't, don't speed up until you get his head down, okay? Then get him in a circle, half halt, bend him, kind of push him sideways off your leg using that leg yield, and just go in a circle. You could even make a figure eight if you wanted to do that, a big figure eight. Make the circle big enough, like a 20-meter circle, so he can get some speed around it. If you make it a 10-meter circle, that'll be too small for him. But right now, the opposite is happening. As you go faster, instead of his, let me click this because it got dull. As you go faster, his head is coming up instead of going down. So we want to get his head down, and we want to have you tilted just a little bit more forward, which will get more weight on his front end, which might help him so he's not so pacey. Go back through it again. So see where his head is now? It's a little bit above your saddle. Okay? So it's a little bit above it, which is fine. Again, this gait is pretty good for him. You just don't want to go too much faster or feel a jiggle in the saddle as you're practicing this. So, but as you did the serpentine, he was okay. He is doing a running walk much better without the cones. So I would tend to like do all your lateral work, circles and stuff first. And then when you go for, you can do that all at the flat walk, but when you go to do his running walk, I would just do it around the arena, because he did much better here than he did going around the cones. Now his head's doing pretty good. It's kind of below your chest area. He has a more neutral back. So here you sped up, but his head came up, okay? And then of course you see he's bouncy, he's pulling on the bit, he's got his head going side to side, he's swinging his legs more, and he's doing more of that step pace. So get that head down, tilt more forward, stay a little bit slower, and then as he gets better, then you can slowly speed it up. But again, from now on, try not to let him step pace at all, because the more you let him do that, the more he thinks that's okay. So every time you get bouncy in the saddle, stop, back him up, start again. If he does it each time, then each time you do it, back up more. So if he does it and you stop, back up 5 steps, you go forward, and he does it again, then stop, back up, do 10 steps backwards. Start again. If he does it again, stop, back up, do 20 steps. What you're trying to do is associate him doing this gait with something very uncomfortable for him. Okay, so we don't want to let him do that anymore. I'm going to stop it for a second. So again, what I would do is do all your lateral work, your circles, your leg yielding patterns, anything like that, do that at a flat walk. Then do your running walk, just straight going around the arena. And do your flat walk and your running walk for 10 minutes. Do it 5 minutes each direction. So he's really, really warmed up. Then when you go to do this saddle gait, I would have him in a circle. I would get his head down. I would have you tilt forward, stay a little bit slower. And then if he's doing good, you can speed up. But if he starts step pacing at all, stop back up, just as I explained before, okay? Only stop him and rest him, or even going slower as a rest for them when he's doing the right thing. When he's doing the wrong thing, you don't want to do that. So we have to get through his head now that this is not the gait we want. And then just anybody who's riding him has to be on that same plan. If anybody's riding him around at that step pace, he's going to think that gait is okay. So if they ride him around at the step pace and then you get on and ride him, he will be very confused. So everybody has to be on board, and slower is better. Everybody's got speed in their head, you know, that it's supposed to be as fast as a trot. Slower is better. So slow and smooth is the way to go. And then over time, gradually, they will get more speed. But each horse is different. They're not going to be too speedy in the arena. They'll be much faster and gait easier on the trail because the terrain will help them. And remember, anywhere in your arena goes up, that's a good place to pick up more speed because that will help him. Any place that goes downhill in your arena, even a tiny little slant, these gaited horses will change, and that'll make them more pacey. And that would not be a good place to have them go faster. That would be a better place to have them go slower or do some leg yielding there to try to keep them out of the step pace.